Is the silhouette worth it to make stickers? I've been doing some test cuts by hand and it takes way too long to get them done. So I made an investment in my business and got a Silhouette Portrait 3. Join me as I figure out how this thing works. So I got this machine on the Silhouette website on Black Friday. It cost about $125 at the time. Inside, there's the usual safety papers, and then it should come with a power cord, USB cables, the blade for the machine, and a blue thingy. So this machine is super light. I am honestly scared that if I drop this thing, it will break in several different ways. The buttons have a nice clicky sound to them, which makes my gamer brain happy. The build quality is definitely on the cheaper end compared to a Cricut machine, but you get what you pay for. I'm going to assume the outer shell has a cheaper feeling because the inner hardware is more sturdy. So everything's out of the box. We're gonna go hop to my computer to check out this software. It comes with a paper that leads you to the website, so you can follow the steps to get your machine set up. Pause. Why does it take until page 20 of the instruction manual to tell you how to install the blade? I know how to register my machine, use the software, the library, and access the design store, but only now do you tell me how to use the blade. Let me save y'all some time. You pull this latch back, insert the blade like this, then push the latch back in. And it didn't take you 20 minutes to get there. I'm not bitter at all. Other than that, the software was really easy to install. Just download the driver, follow the steps, boom, you got it. The workspace is pretty straightforward. You got your tools on the left, navigation on the top, and settings on the right. Since I'm only going to use this to cut stickers, I found the settings and tools I actually need through a few videos, and I can ignore everything else for now. I'll leave links to the videos in the description if you want to check them out. If you want an in-depth guide on the different tools and settings, I recommend the Silhouette YouTube channel. They have a video for almost every function of this software. I just need to focus on these things: page setup, grid lines, registration marks, blade, and force settings. Starting with page setup, all this info should be correct. Make sure you have the right machine selected and the paper size matches your sticker paper. I honestly don't know what these two settings do, but every other video I've seen doesn't change them, so I'ma trust their judgment. I turn on the print and cut borders for reference. I turn on the grid and set the spacing to 1 inch. This gives me a sense of scale for my stickers, and if you want to be extra, you can add a division of 2 to see the 1/2 inch mark. And lastly is the registration marks. You can turn them on and tweak the settings, which is the main reason I got this machine. I've set my length to 0.3, my thickness to 0.8, and I've cranked the inset all the way down. This allows you to use more of the sticker paper when cutting to get more bang for your buck. Everything is set, so let me show you how I prepared these files. I'll use Clip Studio Paint, but these should apply to your program of choice. I'm gonna take this candy corn drawing here, select all, invert the selection, grow the selection by a couple of pixels. I usually stay between 10 to 20 for my drawings. I create a new layer underneath and fill that selection with white. I'll clean up the outline and make any adjustments needed and save it as a transparent PNG file. When I import the file into Silhouette Studio, it's gonna have this red little outline. That is your cut line. I literally don't have to do anything else. It knows where to cut because there's already a defined border to work with, and I absolutely love that. Now, if you load in separate PNGs, they will open in their own individual tabs in the software. You can select them and then copy and paste them into your file that already has your settings applied. I'm gonna set up some test sheets real quick and then we can get into some cut testing. Okay, my sheet is set up. I made sure nothing was overlapping each other or the border lines. Now, save your file. If anything happens, you don't want to do all this work again. Plus, it makes it easier to come back to that file if you want to print more of that set of stickers. Now, we print. Make sure you update your printer settings. While this is printing, let's talk about this software bug I ran into. When I loaded in the images, they came in super jagged and fuzzy. At first I thought it was the resolution, but then I found that it was the program itself. I did download the software a few months ago, so I needed to update it to fix this problem, and now everything comes in crispy like it should. So if you're ever running into any graphical errors, definitely make sure you have an updated version of the software. It could just be a bug of an older version. Now everything's printed, I've let it dry for a little bit. Your girl struggled to put this laminate on, and now it's time to add it to the mat. You get the standard grip mat in the box. You can remove this blue backing but save it. You can put it back on when you're done. Align the paper to this marking on the mat and get it as straight as possible. If not, your stickers aren't going to cut correctly. Fair warning, the first time you use this mat, it is going to be super sticky. Once the sheet was on, it was difficult to adjust afterwards, so be mindful of that. Now that the sheet's on the mat, we can go to the Send tab. At the bottom, you should see a load material in a dark blue color. You want to align the mat to this line on the cutting machine. You want it to be next to the line, not on top of the line. The machine will not cut properly if you do not place it correctly. Press the up arrow to load the mat. The software will show more settings in the Send tab. I set the blade to 6, the force to 24, the speed to 2, and the paper to cardstock. These settings are from the Sketches of Shay video. I'm gonna start with a low force and crank it up if I need to. Press send and listen to the sweet, sweet sound of cutting. If everything went smoothly, on my first attempt, the dang machine couldn't read the registration lines, and I tried to register that thing 3 different times. I had to manually set the blade over the black box to get it to read. But once it finally read the lines, everything went smoothly, and my ears were graced with this lovely sound. Isn't it lovely? Besides my ears being assaulted, the stickers cut beautifully. All I had to do was remove them from the sheet. But the mat held my stickers hostage and wouldn't let go. I easily spent a good 15 minutes picking off the scraps of paper left behind, which was a lot. So the back of the stickers look like garbage, but the cuts are clean and accurate. I'd say cutting this full sheet took less than 5 minutes to do, and it didn't cut all the way like I wanted. So on the second sheet, I cranked the force up to 27 to see if it would cut any better. Since the mat ate the paper the first time, removing the stickers on the second test was a lot easier. Funny enough, the machine read the registration marks and I had no issues. I'm not bitter. Tested cutting on matte versus glossy paper, cutting on a sparkly laminate, cutting complex versus simple designs, and seeing how efficient it is compared to cutting by hand. Both results turned out pretty well. I can't tell the difference between the cuts on the papers. I will say for the matte paper, I will use a higher force going forward. I think the paper was too thick and the stickiness of the matte didn't help, so definitely applying those settings next time around. Compared to the glossy paper that's a little bit thinner but also was set to a higher force, and those stickers came off like butter. Surprisingly, for these I didn't see any major issues on both the matte and glossy paper test. I know from watching other videos a sparkly laminate tends to throw off the machine calibration, so I'm pleased that this didn't affect the cut at all. Here are some cut examples from what I consider the more complex outlines to the simple ones. The machine handled each one pretty dang well. It was able to navigate the grooves of the candle, the waves in this hair, and the tight spaces on the pumpkin stem very cleanly. And for the simple outlines, it glided over those shapes like butter. For the comparison to hand cutting, I took a few scrap stickers and timed how long it took to cut them. I managed to get 6 stickers done in about 12 minutes, and that's with me taking my time. Compared to the machine that cut over 14 stickers in 5 minutes, I think we know who the winner is here. So as far as this machine goes, I'm keeping it. It's easy to set up after I stopped being dumb with the instructions. The software may look intimidating at first, but since I'm just cutting stickers, I only need to know a few settings and tools to get the job done. I love the fact that I can really fine-tune my sheet settings to give as much space as I need. And as long as I have my outline done ahead of time, the setup process is as easy as arranging everything on sheet and pressing print. So far, it's a lot cheaper compared to other machines on the market. It's small and doesn't take up too much space and will save you so much time producing stickers. As far as drawbacks for this machine, it is loud as hell. I would not recommend cutting this at night. You will get cussed out. The standard mat they give you is way too sticky for paper. Admittedly, after the first use, it was easier to peel off, so I'm assuming it'll get less sticky with time, but that first experience of thinking I'm about to lose a whole batch of stickers, it was too much for me. Another con is the fact that it took getting to page 20 to see how to install the blade. Personally, I think the instructions should show you how to set up your machine hardware first, then go on about the software, the libraries, and everything else. I'm not bitter. All that considered, if you see yourself making only a few stickers here and there, you can hold off on buying this machine and continue cutting by hand. Really look at how much you produce for your business and see if it's worth the investment. However, if you see yourself making over 100 stickers for your art business and you want to make the most out of your time, I recommend getting this machine. I plan on putting this thing to work to prepare for my shop launch later this year and getting product ready for my first convention table in the future. If you're here because you want to sell your art and stickers at a convention, you should check out this video that covers beginner artist alley advice. And if you've made it to the end of the video, comment "I'm not bitter."